Hello, Gladiators. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to you from wherever you are in the world. And it's an honor to be here. I wonder what kind of a week you've had. Our week has been really, really good. We can see the light at the end of the tunnel. The borders are opening up. Flights are resuming again. The hotel beds are going out on the beaches. So hopefully, and fingers crossed, humanity is going to get more and more back to normal. Now, what I want to discuss with you is every week when I discuss something, it's about some experiences I've had in the previous days. And some of the conversations I've been having with people has been regarding motivation and why people procrastinate. But before we discuss that and answer, I think 10 or 11 questions, Gladiators, I want to introduce you once again to my Praetorian guards. It's O'Day.
Good morning, everyone.
And Yahya, my stuntman double, and Praetorian guard. Say hello.
Hello.
Thank you so much. So if you guys are going to say anything, say hello, wave, ask questions, don't be rude. Yahya is going to be reading them out for me. So I can't see the screen, I'm afraid. So hello to everybody. So we're going to talk about motivation. One thing I know about motivation is that people think motivation is that you've got to be happy all of the time. And that's not a possibility. As humans, we cannot be positive and happy all of the time. However, what we need some kind of guidance to get us from A to B. And when I came to Dubai, I had nothing. 10 years ago, middle-aged, single dad, kids, I had nothing. And that's very easy to motivate yourself to get to the next stage because you have no money to eat, no money to buy water, drink, roof over your head, school fees. You've heard me say this many, many times. And it's like almost like when you're looking at a boxer or a tennis player or a golfer, people who just start look at the number one ranking players in those sports, and it's very easy to get yourself motivated to get yourself to that number one position. However, greatness comes from being at the top and staying there, getting that extra motivation to get you to stay there and remain as number one, or step outside your comfort zone when you're comfortable. So I was thinking about what advice can I give, because we're not living in 2,000 years ago, although I call you all gladiators. We're not living 2,000 years ago because if we don't go out there working, there's no food. We become a little bit lazy and soft because we can make money for doing very little. So how can somebody get inspired to go out there and step outside the comfort zone? Because when you do that, you become very uncomfortable and often it hurts. And most people who have desires and they want to do better in life choose to take the comfort instead of the actual pain of growth. So they tend to live a life of frustrations and regrets. And the reason I'm actually doing these podcasts to make sure that you have an abundant life, a life of abundance and full of positivity, of love and finances and happiness and joy and health, which is what really ultimately matters, love and health. So when I first came to Dubai, what inspired me was I didn't have a peer group. So my peer group was the people I imagined that I would actually like to be like and to be my friends one day. And they were possibly Bill Gates, Richard Branson, Warren Buffett, because they were actually in areas, I don't know, they could be actually not very good husbands or partners or bosses, but from what I could, even Steve Jobs. But what I could see was they're the people I actually were inspiring me or aspired to be like in different kinds of businesses. So what I think you should do is, first thing, write down the type of people that you want to have in your peer group. You don't have to know them, and they don't even have to be alive, right? So, for instance, Einstein is somebody that, or Picasso, his creativity, they're the people that I would have liked to have in my peer group. And often I think, what would Einstein say at this time, at this moment of challenges? Or what would Picasso say? Or what would Edison do? Or what would Henry Ford do? Or what would Walt Disney do? So your peer group could be imaginary. And what I find is that the answers are all within us. It's the kind of questions we ask ourselves. So if we say, well, that's not possible, it's never going to be possible. I'm a perfectionist, you're never going to be happy. So how can I achieve that is a better questions, and the answers come from those good quality questions. Has anybody got anything to say? Yahya's looking at the screen.
Everyone's saying on Facebook, everyone say hi.
Hello, everybody. Is my son watching from Thailand, or he's missed me again? Oh, typical. Last time I spoke for 43 minutes, he joined me in the last 3 minutes and pretended he'd been watching me for 43 minutes. And all he had to do was switch his phone on. So Kyan, I love you, but I know when you're BSing me. So also what I notice is that people say have affirmations. So when you are struggling and you say, I'm going to have a jet, I'm going to have a jet, I'm going to have a jet, I'm going to have a private jet, I'm going to have a private jet. Your subconscious mind, I believe, actually says to you, you're a liar. You can't afford to pay rent, but you're imagining and dreaming of a private jet. So I knew the predicament I was under, and I knew that my subconscious mind was going to tell me that there's a conflict in what I'm saying and what I'm driving to what I really have, or what I was wishing for. So what I did was, I actually imagined myself in the Ferrari. I imagined myself in the yacht. I imagined myself in a house that I wanted to be. So I'm not dreaming towards, I was dreaming from. So I imagined myself sitting in that boat down the Mediterranean with the Greek islands, sitting back, feeling the wind in my face, the sun in my face, smelling the food that was being cooked on the yacht, the sound of the sea. And then your subconscious mind actually believes you're there and finds a path to get you there. Also, what I notice is that greatness comes from calmness. There were loads of times in my life that I've had pressures and my life hasn't been calm. And what I find is that when there's traffic up here, I can't find the greatness within. So make sure, I signed some clients up last week on a personal coaching platform, but because I have actually a lot more time in my hand these days than I did before the virus situation. And what I worked on was that they should find time to meditate. And it's incredible in such a short period of time, the 20 minutes that they promise to meditate and find their own peace, their own calmness, they're actually a lot happier than ever before. And I'm getting messages saying that after 2-3 days, they're a lot happier and more confident and more clear with where they want to be, the path that they want to lead to. Also, life has ups and downs, turbulence, knockbacks. And what I used to do is I used to have postcards written with all my goals everywhere. I used to have them in the oldest when you had filofaxes. I had it in my filofax, I had it in my case, I had it in the visor of my car, I had it in my mirror. I used to live in a maid's room, and if I had a shower, the water will wet the bed and my desk because it was all confined. And I made sure that whilst I was living in a shithole, my mind was somewhere else. And it was all driven by those cards that kept reminding me why I had to wake up every day at 6 or 7 o'clock, get dressed, go out there knocking on doors when all my competitors were in bed, because I had something to achieve, and a time scale and a desperation. So now, oh yes, so I had written these cards and I put them everywhere to keep reminding me, so not to allow myself to get distracted. Also what I did was I wrote a contract. I wrote a daily action contract to myself, and I literally signed it. And because when you actually contract yourself, you're no longer dreaming. Because if you don't write it down, it's always going to be a dream. And most of us know that most dreams don't come to reality. They don't come to fruition. So what I urge you to do is write those dreams down, put them on a piece of paper and contract yourself. Write a contract, an agreement that you commit to doing certain things every single day to get you to where you want to be. Now that leads to what happened this morning. I have a publisher, and the publisher follows me on Instagram, and love him dearly. He sent me a message this morning with a screenshot of my motivation, and he said, what is it going to take you to finish your book? And I said, it's going to take a real compelling reason for me to get there. He goes, what's your compelling reason? And I said, fame and wealth. And he said, well, why don't you practice what you preach and commit to the audience that you're going to finish your book within a certain period of time. I've been sitting on this book for the last 2 years. I've written 17,500 words. I've done 2/3 of the work, but for the last 2 years, I've just been procrastinating. And this morning, again, I'd read that procrastination is the land of the poor, which was really powerful. So I thought, you know what? I'm going to commit to you, the audience, that I will finish my book by the 11th of June. So I'm going to spend the next 3 weeks full on and writing my book and completing it and giving to my publisher. So Mustafa, thank you so much for messaging me this morning. I'm going to commit to you. I'm going to commit to everybody watching. I'm going to commit to my Praetorian guards here. Otherwise, they'll chop me into pieces. That I will finish my book by the 11th of June. So the trick isn't to get something you haven't got, because you need something. The trick is to turn the want into a big enough desire to get you past that comfort zone, to achieve things that you rightfully deserve. Because this universe is all about abundance. But somewhere along the way, our upbringing, the noise around us, the conditioning makes us feel as though that we have a limited growth, limited wealth. And the truth is that there's enough money to make us all wealthy. The rich are getting richer, the poor are poorer. And it's all about the mindset. So find your motivation, document it, contract yourself, give yourself a time scale, stop procrastinating. You cannot waste time. And time is no longer an excuse, because you know what? You have more time in your hands, especially with what's happening. So stop making excuses for yourself, whether it's my friends, whether it's my staff watching, whether it's my clients, or whether it's my students. I urge, or my loved ones, I urge you to stop procrastinating, take action, because there is absolutely no reason why you can't have total happiness in your life, apart from the limitations you set yourself. I think that's it for now. I'm going to turn out to Uday. Has anybody messaged me something? Oh, Kayan finally arrived. Kayan, yes. But I have 3 sons, so I think it's Kayan watching. I think Ali's watching also, right? Because what happens is Ali watches me, and the moment the podcast finishes, he runs in and starts criticizing me, because he has a higher standard than me, which I really respect. Ali, I love you.
And he's going to say that exactly to you now.
Yeah, he's going to walk in and say, Dad, never mention me in my podcast again. But Kayan, I love you so much. I miss you dearly. I can't wait to see you hopefully in July. And you're my source of happiness and love. And if Yasmin's watching, I love you too, Yasmin. So.
Yes. Okay, the first question we have is, my startup is in the fashion space, and my co-founder is the funder of the business. He's the one who's providing the financial means, but they are not really passionate about this business. How would you deal with the co-founder who isn't as ambitious, or how would I deal if they're not as ambitious
Sure.
as I am?
I think what happens is the problem here is not the co-founder, it's the person who's sending the email. Because it was very obvious when they started a business, this person needed the money. Yeah. And their needs have changed through this process, and they want a little bit more from the other co-founder. What happens is, most of the time, I get a lot of people contacting me saying, we have a partnership and we want to split, it's not working out. And often there's a discrepancy and a lack of communication or a misunderstanding. So 2 people start, one says, you know what, I'm going to work it. All I want from you is your money, right? So 6 months goes by, and this person says, well, I'll put the money in, I want dividends. This other person, but the rich person has got an income, right? And this other person who's working it saying, hang on a second, I don't want to just pay you a dividend, I want to take a salary because I'm putting my time in. But because they didn't mention it in the first place, it caused a massive conflict. So you have to, 1, start with the end in mind. No marriage starts with divorce in mind. So what I suggest is, when I go into partnerships, I always focus on what could go wrong. So let's eliminate those. What are my fears from my past experiences? Let's talk about those. Let's clear the air so we know where we stand. What are your values, right? What am I expecting from you to deliver into this soup? And what do you expect from me? What are your expectations? So the problem here is that lack of clarity from the beginning, and also the way the working partner is thinking about the partnership has changed. Because the investor was probably never passionate about the fashion industry anyway.
Yeah, that's what they mentioned.
He or she put it from the beginning, so it was clear. It's like saying, I love you, let's get into this relationship because you're into football, right? And then 6 months later, you watching football irritates me. The person who's changed is me, not you. You stayed the same. So it's not fair to impose your change upon somebody else. So I suggest is take a good look in the mirror and realize that your business wouldn't have even started without their money. And they believed in you. So you owe it to them to be loyal and stick it out. Or pay them back multiple times investment of what they put in. And then they can walk away from profit, and you own 100% of the company.
Okay. Sounds good. Next question. How do you deal with employees that slack off but are really talented, super talented, as they say. Keep or fire?
Right. I don't know which company it was, but about 15 years ago, actually, no, it wasn't. It was 3 years ago in Google. And I was being shown around the Google head office. And we went to an office, beautiful office of this guy. And the guy who was showing me around said, this guy never comes to work. And he's on about $200,000 a year. And he never comes to work. I said, how can Google keep him? Because well, once every 3 months, he comes up with that good idea that earns the company millions. So they didn't hire this guy to be a 9-to-5 or a 9-to-6er. They actually knew that he wants to be at home playing games, go fishing, meditate. But that idea that he comes with is so well thought through and so great that has multiple times his salary benefits to the organization. Now, again, it's through communication. Do you hire someone knowing they're lazy but they've got a great mind and you pay them what it's worth? Or do you want somebody who works every single day and may have great ideas also? So it's your expectations right from the beginning. But here's the thing, if somebody is motivated, I interviewed somebody this morning, a young lady who is 29 and she's Ukrainian and she was in the hospitality business. She turned around and ran a nursery. Now she wants to get into sales, but everything she's ever done has been very successful. And you can tell the moment she walks in because she's full of energy and passion and motivation. So make sure whatever it is, your staff care about your vision and they're motivated.
Great. Next question. The person is saying team meetings are taking longer than they should. How can I cut it in half and make it more efficient?
Very good point. Again, this wonderful young lady who came for an interview today, because she's part-time entertainer, I said to her, I'll meet you for 5 minutes, but then she made the appointment go on for about 15. It was my fault. So throughout this meeting with her this morning, I had to cut her short because she likes talking, right? And she was very relevant, but she talked. So I forgot that one thing I should do if I've got to meet somebody for 10 or 15 minutes, it's a very simple habit. You take your watch and you put it on the table and say, right guys, it's 20 past 12 and we're going to finish this meeting at 12:30. So if you don't mind, I'll put my watch on the table and I'll keep referring to it. And automatically, people talk faster. And you can keep looking at your watch because you got that permission right from the beginning that you're going to limit it to 10 minutes.
Set the expectations, everyone agrees with it.
Everybody agrees with it, and you set it right from the beginning. There's no point starting with no expectations and then trying to cut people short and they feel you're not listening. Also, what I find is that some people get carried away. We did a group interview yesterday, and I said to people, like, you can answer it, but keep it to 1 minute. And they were going for about 1.5, because when you have an audience, you just talk. So there's little things you can do, your body language, and you go, and I didn't say anything, I was just going like this, and he went, oh right, I've got to cut it. I said, and automatically they cut it short, because people forget their commitments, right? So it's up to you. When somebody calls me and they say, because in the past, and I'm really busy, you know how busy I am, and they call me and, is it a good time? Yeah, sure, because I love my friends, I love my family, and immediately I say, yeah, sure, no problem. And there could be 10, 15, 20 minutes, they're happy, they probably don't appreciate the time that you spend because it's your work time. And you go back and you think, what was I doing? And it takes you about 10, 15 more minutes to pick up that pace again. So I train myself when somebody phones and I'm in the middle of something, I actually say to them, hi O'Day, is this really important because I'm in the middle of something? And you go, no, it's not important. You qualify yourself out, or you say, oh, this won't take long. So you make it a very, very short call. So it's the way you behave dictates the way people behave with you. Right?
Perfect, yes. The next question is, if you were to lead a company that has a toxic culture, basically everyone is talking about everyone badly, how would you handle it? How would you deal with it?
One of the things we have in this organization, you can't, I used to own, my ex-wife and I used to own health clubs, and whenever there was, and I would say 80-90% of the health clubs were ladies. And I'm not trying to be sexist here as a ladies talk, but there's a lot more talking going on. Men can have a fight and next day you go to the bar together. What I used to say is that when people have time to gossip, they've got too much time in their hands because they're not working. So the first thing you do is that they've got too much in their hands, give them more work. Second thing is, when somebody comes to me and wants to say something behind somebody's back, I say, just one moment, and I call the other person into the room. And when I say something, I say, look, I'll say this, and I'll call the person and say, right, I'm going to say this about you, so you're clear, and I'm going to tell you about them. So they don't feel as though you're saying something behind their back without them knowing. So, and if somebody's going to gossip and you call the other person in, they immediately stop because they're saying something they shouldn't. And often, gossip could be actually really positive feedback for the other person. But people don't like confrontation, so they avoid it. And they don't realize the negative impact it has when you talk behind somebody's back. Because eventually they will hear it, but not the whole truth. It's like Chinese whispers. Thank you. It's like Chinese whispers. By the time it gets to them back, it's a completely different story. And then you find yourself to justify yourself for something that you never meant or intended in the first place.
Okay, perfect.
I go into companies and the culture is really bad. I actually fire from the top down. What you'll find is often the CEO or the chairman or the directors are the ones who actually are not keeping that positive culture. So they say something and do another. I've recruited for some of my clients who promise a positive culture, and I get the most beautiful, amazing staff for them. And then the first thing they do is they let them down. They shout at them, they're disrespectful to them, they don't treat them kindly, and I feel terrible. So now when I recruit for a client, I make sure the client delivers what they promise, because I'm not going to get somebody's career ruined and their happiness ruined just for the sake of my recruitment fees, right?
Okay, great. The next question is, what is the unforgettable sin?
Unforgivable.
Forgivable sin one of your employees could make.
Lie. The lying is a habit. You know, I've had people lying and they lie about cheating time, they lie about the productivity, they lie about communication. Once you tell a lie, that's it. All trust is gone. And I can't give that trust to that employee and having to constantly worry about them, right? So I would say lie and negativity. Pessimist. I can't bear pessimism. I can't bear warriors in my life, because here's the thing, I was saying this to another client last week, is that when you worry about something, the reality is never as bad as your worry. So why waste your time? The only thing you can dictate and change is the now. So think about now and what you can do to fix that problem. And often worry comes, you know when people worry most is when they're in bed asleep or they're just sleeping, because there's nothing they can do. During the day, you don't worry. You pick up the phone, you deal with it. Whatever you do, don't bury your head in the sand. Lack of action produces worrying. So face your fears, do it, do the hardest tasks, never worry. So negativity and lies.
Okay.
Respect also. It's really important. Not respect to me, because everybody respects me. I pay people's salaries. But I heard that somebody was disrespectful in our company yesterday to somebody else. And I will be having words with them today after this event. Because I respect others. And I think that respect is really important in our organization. So offending someone or being rude to someone is unacceptable. Okay. But it's not sackable, it's unacceptable. Maybe they didn't know or they don't think about it. But lies, 100%. Negativity, 100%.
Okay. Next question. What is the most important leadership quality? What two qualities can young leaders like me develop to make them more effective and have a greater influence in the organization?
Enthusiasm is really important. To be excited, have energy, to inspire others. You can, if you're enthusiastic, you can inspire investors, employees, potential customers, suppliers. And when you inspire people, people invest in you, right? I remember a story of Alan Sugar is worth a couple of £1 billion in the UK. And he was 16 when he started. And he got into the TV business. He had no money. So he went to a TV supplier and said, listen, I want to fill the van with televisions. I want to sell it in the market, but I'll bring it back to you. I'll bring the cash back to you. I said, can we trust you? And they loved his enthusiasm. So they gave him $4,000 or $5,000 worth of televisions. He sold them in a day. He came back, gave him the money. They gave him $15,000, $20,000. Before you know it, he owned a company called Amstrad. I don't know if you've heard of it, but it's a multi-billion-dollar company. Now he owns land and properties everywhere. He does the Apprentice version of UK, in the UK, the US version in the UK. So now he's a sir or a lord and he's the biggest shareholder in Tottenham Hotspur Football Club. Wow. So, and it all started as a very enthusiastic young man selling televisions in the back of his van. And he's not the tallest or strongest or good looking, he's actually a very short guy, but straight to the point and very focused. So focus is important, enthusiasm, and again, don't lie. People see through it. Be honest. If you got no money, be honest. And one of the things I was going to mention earlier is that I know a few people who are, there's different human needs. Some people start a business, and I believe you start a business to be rich. You start a business for money. The moment I mention money, they get scared because they've had issues with money. So what they do is they go and open up social media pages, they go live, they get popularity, they talk this, they sing, they dance, they educate, they do this. But you know what? They can never materialize it into money, because what they need more than anything else is significance. What they want to be famous. So they lack clarity why they started a business. So when you're a young person, decide, am I doing this business to make money, or do I want to be loved? Do I want to be liked, right? For me, it's nice to be liked and inspirational and respected. These are very strong values. But I'm here to make money for me, for my staff, my partners, and my customers, period. Okay? So clarity and focus is also important.
Perfect. Yes. Okay, the next question is, 1 second. How important is it that your significant other shares your entrepreneurial vision, right?
Your significant other being your partner?
Yes.
Okay. How important is it?
They share the entrepreneurial vision, business-wise.
I had a consultation with someone a while ago, and I really admire this lady because she realized she's a very smart, very intelligent, very capable person. But a man or a woman, it doesn't matter, very capable person. But this person decided that she was going to be a mother. She was going to support her husband. And the husband made millions and millions. And one day the husband comes and says, I've lost it all. She didn't bust his balls. She didn't have a go. She goes, you know what? I made a decision to support you, and I support you fully on your next journey. And I was honestly shaking. I was in tears. I was consulting this person. I was like, wow, how powerful this person must be. And then this lady supported her husband to build it all again. And now she's saying, okay, I've done my bit. The kids are grown up. I want to get somewhere in life. Can you help me? And I was like, can you help me? Because to have a relationship where nobody's competing. Nobody's trying to demoralize the other. They have full faith and trust in each other that it's like a jigsaw puzzle. They fit, and together as a unit, they're far more powerful than as individuals. And honestly, I don't think I've ever had that. And it's something that I aim for in my life, that to have somebody who fits me and covers the edges and paints over the cracks. Because as humans, we're not machines. People demand perfection. We're not perfect. But you know what? We have our partners to support us. Now, it doesn't mean, I've studied like men are from Mars, women are from Venus. A man desires to be accepted and seen as a champion. So he goes out there hunting for animals or fighting wars. He wants to come back, and the wife says, you know what, you may not come back with any pigs or animals or cows or anything like this, but you know what, I know what a gladiator you are. I know how hard you worked, and I honor you. That's what the man wants. And the woman wants to be heard. A man wants to fix things, and a man wants to fix a woman's problem. But often the women just want to talk, because that's what they did caveman days, right? They just got in a unit and just talked. So there's a lot comes from understanding each other. I don't want to go into personal development, but I think the support of your home life is critical. Support of your family, your children. You want your wife to tell your kids that you're out there, that your father's a gladiator. Your father's going out there achieving things. So you have a sense of pride when you come home. And I think that's lacking in so many homes and so many families. There's this feeling of the world owes me. I'm breathing, so you should do this. I expect you to do this. There's no expecting anything. We can't expect anything in life. Yeah. So we live in gratitude and thank thank positive people, and honor them all the time, right?
Okay, next question. Question number 8. When looking at potential investments that you may be on the fence about, how do you balance the risk and reward to make the decision?
Most investors looking at screwing up 70% of the time. So when somebody's investing, they don't think this is the one, this is going to be the next Facebook, this is going to be the next Instagram. They know that 7 out of the 10 investments that they make will take a loss. And yes, it's true, 80% of businesses fail within the first 2 years. And 80% of those 20% fail within the first 3 years. So they know. So it's a risk and reward. So that 30, if your offer, your investment is 30% success, what's going to be my returns? And also, I've lent people money in their businesses, and they've either gone bust or they didn't make it. But if the money I gave is the money I could afford to give. So make sure whatever you invest is something you can afford to lose, right? Otherwise, you're going to be pressurizing the company you invested in, and they can't breathe because you're on their case. So make sure, one, you can afford to lose it. 70% of your investment will lose. If you're smart, 30, 40% will make it, but make sure those gains are far higher than what you put in.
Okay, great. Question number 9. What's your process for vetting clients, and how can you develop that courage to fire clients that don't make you happy?
Yeah. I think, as you know, I had a heart attack 10, 11 years ago. And until then, I had a heart attack, not because I was 30 kilos lighter than I am today, which is quite a lot. And the reason I had a heart attack was stress. I had people in my life who didn't share the same values. And probably because I didn't know my own values. I wasn't very clear of my values. So what we've done with work is that we've created a manual. Next time I show it. And we give to all our suppliers, to all our customers, and to all our suppliers, customers, and employees. And we're very clear right from the beginning. We do an induction with all our suppliers, with all our customers, and all our suppliers. Customers, suppliers, and clients, right? And we do, you know what I mean, and employees. And we do an induction. And we say to them, right, clarity, communication, honesty, speed, these are our values. If you fail, doesn't make you a bad person. It just doesn't make you fall within our values. So right from the beginning, we set the agreement. We set our values. And if they don't abide to it, it's thank you, it just didn't work out. And you know, I walk away where money isn't that important, but my happiness is, and happiness of my staff. So be clear with what you want in your life, and there's no gray areas. Because here's the thing, if the moment you go back on one thing, they start abusing it and taking advantage in other areas. So what you're saying is, you're not that definite about what you want in life. And there are times where I've lost a client, or I've parted with a client, and I haven't slept for 2-3 nights, thinking, what the hell did I do? I walk away from that money because of my stupid principles, right? But then 2-3 days later, a call comes from somewhere else, and it's a bigger client, and they have the right virtues and right values as I do. And here's another thing, is that in life, you have to be ready. I look back at my life, and there's so many opportunities. When you're an entrepreneur or a salesperson or an optimist or positive, you know that. There's opportunities everywhere. So you got to be, one, I think the most important thing is that you got to be open to receiving it. You look back in life. I was in the mobile phone industry when it first came out, and got out before the screens turned into color, because I was thinking there was 98% saturation. Why do I need to be in phones anymore? But I didn't think that people will buy phones as a fashion, or technology could move on so fast. I was thinking just text messaging was enough. I didn't think surfing on mobile. So I got out. I was in the DVD business when there was VHS videos, and I got out, where I didn't realize internet, you could download and downstream. I had ideas about, well, I was in spray tanning. I invented the spray tanning business, and I got out when I first got the headache. So you got to be able to be open to receiving it, and that comes through calm. When you're busy doing things, you've got running 9 or 7 or 8 projects at the same time, you can miss things. So sit back, meditate, keep calm, clear the noise in your head, and you'll be more open to better opportunities.
Okay, great. Do we have questions, or should we move with what we have received so far?
No, just a lot of interaction.
It's a lot of interaction, people saying hello.
Okay, great. The next question.
Don't be shy.
The next question is a girl, a lady says, all my parents care about is college, which I hate. What should I do?
Right. Most parents, but we're all different generations, right? And we all base our teachings to our kids based on the way we were brought up. So when my parents and grandparents were working, they maximum had 1 or 2 jobs a lifetime. And they were very proud that they worked for this shoe company for 30 years, yes? Now, if you're looking at somebody and they work for a company for 30 years, people think you're a loser, yeah? So it's expected that people will move and change. The reason people want education is because of safety, something to fall back on. My son Ali is 26, very, very smart. He could have just walked his university, but he came to me after college and said, Dad, I don't want to go to university. I want to take your path and work, be an entrepreneur. And I was in this dilemma. Should I ask him to follow his dreams and follow my dreams, because I'm dyslexic? I couldn't go and have education, right? So, or should I force him? Because all the grandparents, my mom's watching, everybody was saying, no, he's got to go to university, right? So I went and interviewed all the people who were advising me. And the most common denominator when I said, why should Ali go to university, was like, just in case. Just in case it doesn't work out, he's got something to fall back on. Just in case. And I thought, it's a good point. It's a good point. But all my life, I told him that if you're going to succeed, you've got to burn your boats. So if I put him in university, just in case, so I leave a boat behind. So I felt he wants to be an entrepreneur because he's heard me for 24 years, talk about burn your boats, go there, everything's achievable. And then my actions say, go to university just in case. So I sat down with him and I said, look, I think you should be an entrepreneur. If that's what you want, you can be an entrepreneur. And he convinced me and he said, look, Dad, if I ever want to go to university, I can. Because times have changed. You can go to university at 30 or 40, but I want to drive in my Ferrari to university instead of having to pay for my university working for McDonald's. I thought, that's a good argument, right? And we've never looked back since. He's 26, still go to university, but he's doing extremely well and running a very successful company and a big team. So, yeah, my actions, there is no just in case. And I do understand parents want education because they want safety, they want security for their family. So honor them, but follow your path.
Okay, great. One more question.
Last one?
Yes, unless we have any more questions from the audience. I wish to start a health club in Dubai. I'm passionate in fitness. Is there a future in the fitness industry? And is this the good time now that we are in the global outbreak?
No, it's not a good time, and people are going to die fat. Right? This global outbreak is going to end. I'm sick to death of people thinking that we're going to wear masks for the rest of our lives and future generations. There's going to be viruses coming and going. I think somebody will come out with a chip that we don't even have to put up our nose. We don't have to wear masks. But I think we're going to go through a phase where people are going to put design a mask, there's masks on masks, and we're going to have a bit of a laugh for the next few months. But things will go back to normality. I'm dying to fly. And some of you know I'm dying to come and see you. And I'm really dying to come and see you. And so what's happening is that people are dying to go to restaurants. They're dying to sit next to someone in the cinema. So I think it's going to be more demand for gyms. I think there's going to be more demand for health clubs. There's going to be more demand for hairdressers and beauty salons and restaurants and hotels and flying. So absolutely. Here's the thing, when you just open up a health club, I just did a deal with a property and I can't believe what a deal I got. I got 6 months rent free and 25% less than the going rate because the landlords are panicking. The landlords are panicking that they might not be able to rent their apartment, their villa. So I got this villa at a fraction of the cost of what it's worth. So it's a really good opportunity. Put the offer into a perfect space, pay them in 6 months. The landlords will take it because they'd rather have a bird in hand than 3 in the bush. So in the bush, in the branch, whatever, in the tree. So yeah, birds in the tree. So yeah, there's no better time to do business than now because your costs are very little. Okay?
Great. Do we have any questions or any?
No. Guys, it's Eid weekend. We're gonna know if the actual weekends, the Eid is on Friday or Saturday.
Yeah.
So we're looking at actually pushing our next live event for next Tuesday. So I honor you, Gladiators, and my respect goes to you all. Have the most amazing Eid holidays, and I'll see you next week. Thank you. Bye.